this afternoon about some of the sightings that you had with Bigfoot.
Yes, that's a family tradition with my medicine family, my people. We say, as a matter of fact, that the Sasquatch and the Yei are our human beings' original ancestors, and that it was from the Yei and the Sasquatch that the ETs biogenetically re-engineered us to get the Adama, or the person, the humanoids that we've become and things. And that's one of the reasons why the Sasquatch and the Yei won't have anything to do with human beings now, you know. And we also say that when they begin to reappear and show themselves and begin to communicate with human beings again, which is what they're in fact doing now, certain select people, we say, are being touched by spirit, and the Sasquatch are being guided to them to give them special messages about the closing and the end of this fourth cycle, because there's a beginning, another cycle that's going to be starting in the very near future for us. And so the Sasquatch are beginning to reveal themselves and beginning to reveal information and secrets, if you will, that they've long held for themselves, for us, about ourselves and things, and what we need to be prepared for and what we need to be doing, you know, to help heal this Mother Earth, this planet, and things. Unfortunately, a lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people equate the Sasquatch and the Yei, you know, with the ETs, and I've had a lot of people ask me about that. And from my understanding of it, from them themselves, they watch these ETs, because when the first ones, they remember in their genetic memory, they remember when they first came. And when they went out to see them, went out to greet them, basically, the first thing that happened was the ETs enslaved them, you know, and tried to use them, you know, to do their labor, and they tried to use them for food and everything else.
I understand they're vegetarians, is that correct?
Yes, they are. They've never been known to harm or eat a human being or anything else in their. That doesn't mean that they won't defend themselves and stuff, or that they don't get angry, but basically they're very peaceful people, and they are our ancestors. There's also some misunderstanding. I always talk in terms of Sasquatch and Yei, and there's actually two different kinds. A Yei you find here in the desert, in the river valleys and the swamps and things. And the Sasquatch are primarily the high mountain people and stuff, and they're much larger than the Yei. When I went down to Australia, it was really funny, because I asked Aboriginal people down there, I says, do you have the equivalent to our Sasquatch and Yei? And they said, oh yeah, we do. And they said, they laughed, and they said, the white people call them Yowies. And I said, why do they call them Yowies? And they said, well, because every time they see one, they go, Yowie. They have another name altogether for them. Yeah. And they have very personal relationships with those. And sadly, the ones that they have down there are very old now, and very ancient, and not regenerating themselves, not repropagating themselves.
How old do you think that they
we know they live to be at least 900 years old.
Wow. Terrific genes.
I would guess, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, though, that we say that they took away from us when we were biogenetically re-engineered. And if you go back and look, for example, in the Bible or some of the old ancient texts, you'll see that a lot of the old people lived for long periods of time.
Methuselah, Rashid.
Yeah.
A lot of them. But you said to me they left something behind. The little stones.
For certain people, oftentimes they will leave a little sort of a gemstone behind. And they can be blue, but most of the time they're red. And we call them memory stones. And what we say is that they attune that stone to your own psyche, to your own intellect. And when the right time comes, that stone will key a memory or something that they've told you or something that you already know in you. And so a lot of people, you know, that have been given these, and they're very rare. And if anybody gets one, you know, you should treasure it, because you have something very, very special there in your hand. I wear one, but I wear it as part of my medicine pouches and things. And it's a little larger than most of them, but when you showed me that one today, you know, I knew immediately what it was, and you notice I picked it up
Yes.
first thing and held it, and I said, well, this is key for the individual, you know, that it was given to.
Yes,
you
that
know,
was from
things.
a good friend of mine who's going to be on the next show on the 21st of March. And his name is Kiwani. And he's going to talk about his episodes with the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And he gets the beads. He's had 5 beads in red, and you told me you had several.
Yeah. Well, we actually have a song. We say we can sing them up. And some of my apprentices, sometimes I use the Sasquatch. I teach my apprentices how to see them. Sasquatch, we say, are what you call, we say they mind speak. You call it telepathy, you know, and that's their defense mechanism. Like, they're so strong with it. Like, you can be walking down through the woods and one can be standing there and you can look at him and he can make you think that he's a tree, you know. He can make you think that he's a rock or a boulder and things. And one of the ways that I teach my apprentices to look for them, I remember one group in particular, I told them, I said, look out there at all those trees out there, you know, and they looked out there and they said, yes, grandfather, so what, you know. And I said, one of them's a Sasquatch, you know, and of course right away it was like, which one? And I said, you know, well, what you need to do, I said, is you need to count the trees. And so they got their pencil and papers out and they counted the trees and everything, you know, and stuff, and made their little maps and stuff. And then, you know, the next day eventually they went out and was able to look, and they were able to find which tree was not there then, you know. And then they knew that that was the one that was the Sasquatch. You know, now once you learn how to look for them and see them, then you can see through that facade. But you have to be adept enough, and you have to be trained well enough, and you have to be sensitive enough to where that when you look out there, you know, you actually look through that and things.
Are they shape changers, or just change your mind to
They're not
make the image?
they're not
come out there?
shapeshifters in the traditional sense that most
Yeah.
people think of shapeshifters. For example, how the Navajo think about their Yenagloshi, or what you would call the werewolf. They're loping people, or skinwalkers, you know, which are actually really werewolves, you know. And an interesting thing about that, when you look at it, you know, some people, we always think of us turning into animals, and very, very rarely do we really stop and think. We're so egocentric, you know, that animals often can turn into human beings, you know. And one of our own legends, the legend of the White Buffalo Calf Woman, is a legend
Of
who
course.
brought us our pipes and things, is a legend of an animal turning into a human being, giving us something, teaching us something, and then turning back into an animal and going away, you know. And so a lot of times whenever things happen, you know, these kinds of things, creatures, if you will, that come and stuff, you know, we're looking for all these other explanations, and the explanation's really simple. It's right here, you know, in our own backyard.